you're ready, you can introduce Chris, and then we'll turn it all over to him. So here we go. Good luck.
So I have the honor of introducing the one, the only Chris White today. For those of you that aren't from Brower, my name is Jessica Brown, and I've had the distinct pleasure of teaching Chris in various subjects over the years. My favorite of which is this year's two-person Spanish 4 class. It's been a lot of fun. Chris has decided to graduate with a distinction in athletics and expeditionary learning, although he could have really chosen anything, because anybody that knows Chris knows that he excels at everything he puts his mind to. So this is a beautiful presentation. I hope you all enjoy it.
Thank you very much. All right. How's that looking? Good?
It's great.
Cool. All right, so welcome to my presentation. I'm going to be battling for the right of graduation through the distinctions of athletics and expeditionary learning. Join me today on a quest of core value development through sports and how expeditions have changed me as a person. First, I'll begin with the background of my involvement in sports. My mom tells me I always had far too much energy for her to handle, so she shoved me in a bunch of activities to try and tire me out. I don't really remember them too clearly, but apparently I played soccer, basketball, baseball, did some martial arts, surf camp, stuff like that. But the one I really do remember is gymnastics. Doing gymnastics is like the worst, greatest thing I've ever done because I remember crying almost every other day from the pain. My mom just over to the side playing Sudoku or something. But now my body is so scarred from the stretching that I can do the splits whenever I want. It's actually really helped me with sports in a way I could never realize when my legs were being ripped apart by my coaches.
Someone needs to mute.
Yeah.
Everyone can
Someone's
please
TV's
mute.
on.
I'm trying to scroll through and mute as well, but we would appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry about that, Chris.
All good. I also did track and field as a little kid, where I attended my PE coach's summer camp and goofed off for a few weeks. It was there where a certain fondness grew for throwing a plastic rocket as far as I could. From there, I joined the legendary Millennium Express Track Club, and thus began my saga of javelin domination. Now, fast forward to 8th grade. Coming into Brower after a year of living in Italy was like the worst case scenario for me back then. I came back from Florence and learned that I'd be going to a private school with literally no kids in it and no sports from what I understood. Little did I know, it was this seemingly messed up situation that would allow me to flourish as an athlete and make some great friends. And throughout my time here, I've coincidentally developed many values through sports that align with Brower's core values. The first being intellectual curiosity, which is a value that has definitely persisted throughout the years of my athletic career. The reason I started competing in the first place was because I thought it seemed fun and I got to hang out with my friends. As I continued to compete, I gradually became more and more interested in one sport. This sport, as you may guess, is the javelin throw. I've gone to great lengths to pursue my interest, attending multiple camps specializing in the event around the country and the world. The most impactful of these by far were the 2018 Project Javelin Gold Camp in Arizona and the Pikkupudas Camp in Finland last year. In Arizona, I found myself surrounded by the highest level of throwers and coaches in the United States. And here's a throw for them. And there's all the people. Just for a whole week, I got to be around tons of people who love the sport. And in addition, there were these two German dudes who came to help out. One of them was a retired thrower on the left, Raymond Hecht, who broke the 90-meter barrier in his prime, which is a huge deal in javelin. The other was the reigning Olympic champion Thomas Roller on the right. Having these two there was such a surreal experience, and I still don't think that I can comprehend that I met them. I will also probably never forget the words that Thomas said to me when critiquing my performance. He told me that your technique is good, and you just need to try harder, put in more effort. My javelin coach, Coach Earl, has never let those words escape my mind since. The trip to Finland, too, was absolutely incredible. The cultural shock of seeing elementary kids throwing actual javelins with form as good as mine was insane. I mean, these guys literally have a statue of a javelin thrower in the back of their high school. It's nuts. I've never felt so confident in the sport I chose to pursue after going to that camp with all the people around just supporting and loving it. And here's a video of my first international competition. Where here you can tell it's a big deal because they have a sponsor board in the back, banners, you know, a camera in the front to record. Just crazy stuff.
Why didn't you guys transmit the data?
Oh. That one's okay. Too far to the right. This camp set me up greatly for success in the competitions I had that year and gave my coach some great new footage for drills. Javelin is a sport that I'll probably never stop learning from. I'll think that I finally figured something out, and then boom, this one part of my technique has gone to crap. However, I think it's exactly that. Never-ending improvement and the strive for perfection that leads me to be so interested in it. Another value that is kind of the essence of sports is perseverance. Here's me persevering blowing up a floaty. I've been developing this value since before I can remember, whether I liked it or not, and I don't think I will ever stop revisiting it. Its meaning will grow and change as I continue along this path to glory, and I'll need to adapt with it as well. Thus far, I've pushed myself mentally and physically a lot for the training I've done in various sports, and I've changed a lot since I started. Here's a video of me throwing, coming back from Italy, 8th grade, long-haired Chris, horrible form. Just all of it. We can move away from that now. But, and a better example of my improvement and perseverance would be the changes between the championships in 2018 and 19. Sophomore year, I traveled to Greensboro, North Carolina to visit family and compete at the USATF Junior Olympic Nationals. I had one of my most emotionally trying competitions there, where I badly fouled some throws and threw far under what I knew I could. However, it stayed close the entire competition and maybe a little too close. In the end, I managed to win my first nationals, but not in the fashion I hoped for. Out of 6 throws, all over 50 meters long between my closest competitor and I had won by a single centimeter. To put that in perspective, here's a photo of an Olympic regulation swimming pool. Picture yourself standing next to it and how far it stretches toward the end of the building. Now, I want you to take a look at the width of your pinky. That width is the margin that I had won by when all of our throws went farther than the length of that swimming pool. It's nuts. It was very difficult for me to accept this big victory at the time, so I used it as motivation to try and prove to myself that I deserved to be on the podium. The next year, I competed in Sacramento. And this time, I won by 6 meters, which is, trust me, a lot more satisfying than a finger width. Now, this year, the meaning of perseverance has sort of evolved, where my season was canceled because of the pandemic we all know and love. It's tough to keep myself focused on the future when all I want to do is to prove myself again this year, but I'm persevering the best I can and staying focused on the things I can control. And finally, accountability is a value that I've only recently begun to take note of in terms of athletics. This is a photo of me and Casey being accountable for each other during assemblies. But when I think of accountability in this regard, what comes to mind is leadership and injuries. My main leadership roles during my time at Grauer have been captain of the track and basketball teams. In my experience as being co-captain of the two, I've learned that one requires much more accountability. To me, being captain of the basketball team was a big change, mainly because of the difference in sports. Track is much more individualized. You only really have to worry about yourself and what you can do to improve in your events. It's about perfecting technique, figuring out how efficiently you can do this certain action. You yourself are as much of a competitor as the people you're running, jumping, or throwing against. In basketball, however, there are 10 variables you have to take into consideration instead of only one when playing. This also leads to a captain having to shoulder more responsibility for their team. I went from focusing only on myself for many years to now having to pay attention to my teammates and keep them on task and focused when it was already difficult for me to do so myself. This was especially hard for me because I tend not to be a very authoritative person, so even getting myself to act like a captain took some mental perseverance in the beginning. I learned to be accountable for not just myself in track, but for my team in basketball when I took that leadership spot. I also learned to appreciate the phrase lead by example a lot more because I can still be a leader without having to boss people around. The other part of accountability in sports for me is the injury aspect. The other picture is a picture of me being sad because injuries are no fun for anyone. As I grow older and become more dedicated to javelin, I've started to experience a little of what an athletic career is like. The specific part I've begun to learn more about is how to manage my injuries. Coming out of basketball sophomore year, I went into my javelin season with this nagging knee pain on my left. It started to become a real issue at the next season, and I found myself at a very difficult impasse. No matter how much physical therapy I was doing, as I continued to play basketball, my knee was getting worse. Now I was forced to make the decision to either ignore it and continue what I was doing or make some sort of change. The choice I made in the end was to focus on my oncoming javelin season and push basketball further back in my mind. The feeling of asking my coaches if I could work and play less because I wanted to do another sport was not enjoyable, especially because of the position I was in. As captain, I made the choice to sit myself on the sideline doing physical therapy exercises while my teammates worked their butts off in practice. Then after doing nothing but those exercises and free throws, I would go into each game as a starter. It's hard for me already to move away from that decision, and now with my javelin season canceled, the distance I put between myself and basketball seems like an absolute waste, but I know it was the best choice for me to make to pursue my goals, and I'll have to keep that with me as I move on. Now, transitioning from athletics, I'll talk about, in my opinion, one of the greatest things Grauer has to offer: expeditions, and I'll get to this photo in a sec. I had no idea coming into 8th grade how amazing of an experience expeditions would be and how much of an impact they'd have on my life. Back in elementary school, I went through sort of a difficult time that led me to seek refuge in video games. I became enamored with how you can escape reality into some world you could only ever dream of existing in, and yet here you are playing as a character in it. It was this growing obsession that began to drown out the sporty, adventurous side of me I had always held so close. I don't fully regret this change, though, because I made a lot of great friends through video games, and now I have the ability to crush my real-life friends in quite a few of them. This photo is an example of that, where I got my first gaming PC with my dyed blue hair, good times. It wasn't until I came to Grauer, started making some friends who didn't play games as religiously as I did, and went on expeditions where I first began to reconnect with the canyon exploring kid that had been suppressed. The first of these was San Juan Islands, where I distinctly remember having a hole ripped in our tent by a raccoon, making Nutella and peanut butter tortillas for survival, fishing and learning how to catch crabs, and Emmy carrying me out of the stinging nettle I so foolishly walked on when searching for frogs. Seeing the orcas there too was an unforgettable experience. Then there was Costa Rica, where we went jungle exploring and I got my hands demolished by ants, where we smashed coconuts using any method we could think of, no matter how dangerous, and surfed some awesome waves. Even though we got gnarly rashes, it was totally worth it. Then Baja, where we snorkeled, found the ocean bottom absolutely covered with stingrays, spent multiple days fishing up crazy amounts of yellowtail, as you can see in that photo, and swam with whale sharks, which was even more humbling than the killer whales. Then there was Roots, where I experienced my first hunt, explored rivers with my friends, and spent hours chiseling away at our walking sticks. I'm still a little salty Trevor didn't let us keep those knives, but this is supposed to be a fun presentation, so I'll keep that beef in the back corner. And finally, Cabo with the boys, where we surfed, fished, conquered arroyos, went gromming in dune buggies to catch fat lizards, had the most insane adventures with Jimmy, and I even had my first experience on a dirt bike. Through these expeditions, I've managed to reconnect with the adventurous side of me over the years. While that video game tween still runs rampant inside of me, the canyon-dwelling kid comes out every once in a while to put him in his place, and I have my friends and expeditions to thank for that. Now, for gratitude. I don't have photos of everyone I want to give gratitude to, so here's a collage of my cat to keep you entertained. Going to Grauer in totality was an absolutely awesome experience, and I would definitely not be in the same place I am now if I hadn't come here. During my time at Grauer, I have made many close relationships between my peers and teachers. There's a lot of people I'd like to extend gratitude to, but with limited time, and I think I'm already over, I have still quite a few to mention. First, I have to shout out the boys. You know who you are, the absolute homies who made every day at school a good one. Going on trips and expeditions with all of you throughout the years has been the best time of my life. And specifically, first boy, Emerson. Bro, you probably don't understand what an influence you had on my life coming into Grauer. When I talked about friends and expeditions bringing my adventurous side back, I really just meant Emmy in the friends department. You taught me so many things like how to fish, catch crabs, and how fun it is to explore and discover things in the wild. You have a unique ability to strongly stick with what you want to do in life, and I admire you as the easily swayed person I am. The way you live your life just having fun and doing what you want is awesome, and everyone could learn a thing or two of how you operate. I'm also not too sure I'd be listening to the same kind of music today if you didn't introduce me to your rap. Making memories with you and the crew has been some of the scariest and most exciting moments of my life, and I can't thank you enough for it. Love you, bro. And Casey. I think out of all of my friends, you are the closest I have to an actual brother, whether that is a good or bad thing. Your competitiveness can sometimes be a bit crazy at times, but that's what I appreciate the most about you. Everyone should have someone like Casey in their life to push them to be better, no matter if it's at sports or social skills. While Emmy introduced me to the outside world, you're the one who pushed me the most out of my comfort zone into it. And while it sucked in the moment, I really appreciate how much it is changing. I love you like a brother, man. Thank you for accepting the parts of me that you may not agree with and for opening up to me in a special way over the years. Quinn. Gosh, man, I really wonder a lot how different my life would be if you weren't around. I've never met someone whose values and interests align so closely to my own, and I literally can't think of a day that I was ever upset with you. You were the first person I connected with through our disgraceful hobby of watching anime, and I'm so glad I did because I've had so much fun sharing that with you for all of high school. You have such a well-rounded spirit that loves to explore and takes thoughtful consideration into every situation you're presented with. I really love and appreciate you so much, man. It's going to be difficult to find someone I relate to so closely in the future. And then the talisman, which includes Ocean, Quinn, Kai, and Kendall. In my life, I try to surround myself with people that take zero energy to be around. The kinds of people that you can just be yourself with, and with this group, I've definitely achieved that. You guys are all so smart, kind, and open-minded, and I'm so thankful for how you pushed me academically and mentally. Getting to know all of you better, so much better this year, has been great, and talking with you guys after every class during Zoom school made this experience much more worthwhile. And moving to teachers. First, Stuart, thank you for creating this experience and working tirelessly for what you believe in. The Grauer School has become a home for so many students since its founding, and it's all thanks to you following your dream and creating this environment for us. Your vision has made something truly special that will always hold a place in my heart. And Dominique. I still can't believe that I've ever received a math award, and I'm honestly just putting you on here because of that. I'm just kidding. It's a very special thing to find someone who exists on the same wavelength as you, and Dominique is one of those people for me. It's seriously too bad that we only had 1 year together, but I enjoyed every moment of it. You are so sweet, caring, and funny, and your sarcasm is just elite. I appreciate what you do for students so much, and I hope you never change. Trevor, you are a beacon of light at the Grauer School. You're always looking out for students, making them laugh, bringing full energy every single day. It's insane how you do that all the time, and it inspires me to put more effort into life. Thank you for reaching out to me this last year. You are the king of studs and will always be so. Jesse, thank you for sticking with me throughout all these years of Spanish in life. You are such a down-to-earth person and have a sort of vulnerability that made me want to be your friend more than a student. Spending time with you in class will be some of my fondest memories because of how closely your teaching style aligns with how I learn. Talking with you before Spanish class was always one of the highlights of my day, especially when you let maybe a little too much gossip slip. You work so hard and have so many responsibilities at Grauer. I don't know how you do it, but if anyone is up for the job, it's you. Thank you for being true to yourself at every moment and for supporting those around you every day. Morgan, you have terrified me since 8th grade, and I'm not sure if those feelings have really changed much. I don't think I could find anyone who could question your demon-like work ethic, and I truly admire you for it. I also didn't think I would change my views on the world much senior year, but then I took physics and philosophy, and that idea went down the drain. After hearing that my mom stopped taking physics in high school because of a horrible teacher, I found that I absolutely could not relate, and it was the opposite for me. I just wanted to learn more. The conversations in philosophy are some of the greatest I've ever had, and I'm eternally grateful that I decided to take that class second semester. Thank you for never being anything but yourself. You've taught me so much this past year that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. I look forward to seeing if my mom was right about how much he'll change and grow with Benji. And finally, people outside of school. Coach Earl, I don't know if he's here, but I'm going to be honest, man. I have no idea where the hell I would be if you weren't a part of my life. Once I became more serious about javelin, I learned of some guy named Earl who coached at a local college. I went to meet him, and it turns out some random Filipino guy who has the greatest javelin mind in California, if not the country. The passion you have for this sport is infectious, and I would be nowhere near where I am if it wasn't so. The way you approach life is just awesome, and I can only hope to achieve the happiness you find walking through the streets of European cities and trying their different foods someday. Thank you for believing in this small-chested, privileged white boy and investing so much into my development. Renee, no cap, you are my dad. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on the kids that you babysit, and I don't think you were ready for the impact you'd have on this one. Growing up without a father, I never really felt a void or that I was missing out on not having one, and that's probably because you were there for me. You've guided me through more than I can remember growing up as a child, and even now, from helping me choose what kind of razor to buy to the intricacies of relationships and helping me see things I couldn't by myself, I respect and idolize you so much for what you represent, the values you hold close, and the work you put into your jobs, family, and education all at the same time. It's gotten to the point where I think one of my subconscious goals in life is to be you. If I could just get a little bit of that, I'd be set. 10 out of 10 babysitting service, would recommend. Love you, man. And finally, Mom, you are the most amazing woman in my life. Everyone always says the cliche of how their mom is the best in the world, and I'm going to say it too, but I'm going to back it up with some strong evidence this time. My mom's work ethic is on par with Morgan and Jesse's, and she's freaking retired. There hasn't been one sports team I've been on where she hasn't been a team mom. Not one school where she didn't climb up the ranks and become president of the PTA at some point. And I mean, the year we moved into a new house in a gated community, she became the president of the HOA. Nothing in this world will stop my mom from spreading love and making the people around her better with all that she does. And I mean, seriously, what mother takes her son and his coach to Boondocks, Finland, to watch them drool over a javelin camp for a week? She does everything it takes to make sure I'm happy every day, and it's difficult to put into words how thankful I am for it. You've been such a role model to me and the strongest pillar in my life. I love you with everything I have. Thank you.
Good job.
Chris.
Excellent.
Woo!
Very, very good job. All right.
Welcome, Chris.
Very well done, Chris. You set the bar incredibly high. In the interest of time, you did such a brilliant job of sharing explanations for so many things that you did, but we're going to skip Stuart's question. But Stuart, you're welcome to kind of jump in there. But let's see, well, we have a little time. You've got about 7 minutes, and I will let you call on people as you wish. Okay?
Okay. Dominique?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being there every day and just being the person that I can be sarcastic with, back and forth, and you're just so intelligent, but you have such good character as well, and you're just the perfect student and turning into a wonderful young man. So congratulations.
Thank you. Lucian?
I barely got over Quinn's presentation, finally got myself composed for yours. You got through your entire presentation, and it was such a wonderful, an inspiring presentation, and hearing you talk about your journey with javelin, which is something you're so passionate about, is so inspiring. I kept it together, and then once you started on gratitude, I just lost it. You did such a wonderful job. And hearing you thank everyone who have done so much for you in your life is so wonderful for us to hear, and I'm sure for them to hear as well, because you deserve every single bit of it. You are such an incredible person, and you are a naturally born leader, and you are going to do great things in life. Good job. You did so good.
Thank you. Clayton?
Chris, you were an absolute pleasure to have in class on Expedition. Watching you grow up and develop over these years has been a true pleasure. But what I'd like to highlight and thank you for is how you took so many middle schoolers under your wing and the courage and leadership you showed them and the guidance you gave them and how to become young men. You're the kind of role model that everybody hopes their son is going to come home talking about. So I wanted to, on behalf of our community, thank you for everything you've done for them.
Thank you. Morgan?
Yeah, I couldn't second what Clayton said even more. But also, I want to thank you for your engagement. I know this senior year was tough for all of you guys, but you found a way to find interest in everything that you were doing. In particular, obviously, physics and philosophy class, which I got to see. But I know through hearing other teachers talk about you that in their classes as well, you found a way to stay engaged and to push through and really stay true to yourself and the things that you value. And so when you talked about leadership, I think you don't realize that leading by example is what you do on a daily basis without even trying. And people look at you and they think, oh man, what would Chris do in this situation? And that's like their guidance on, okay, what's the right thing to do in this situation? So knowing that like you have that responsibility on your shoulders, I think it doesn't even slow you down because you don't never necessarily think about doing things for other people. You just think about doing what's right because it's right. And in your head and your heart, you know that. And that's really amazing kind of characteristic to have. And I think it also comes back to your mom for raising you the way that she did and all the mentors that you've had that brought you to this point in your life. But carry that with you because that's a real gift that not a lot of people have. And you're doing really well with it so far. And I'm excited to see and hear how you continue with that into the future. Well done.
Trevor?
Chris, incredible job, young man. Just incredible. Hey, man, just want to say, first of all, to piggyback exactly on what Clayton said, but I'll take it even further, Chris, that you're the kind of young man that if my own boys turn up to be like you, I would be so incredibly blessed and grateful, man. So, seriously, Chris, I think that's the biggest compliment I could give you. You're an inspiration, and just so incredibly proud of everything that you've done for the Grauer School, for the entire community. And then also, Chris, one last thing, your contributions to the athletic department and to Horizon Prep and Horizon Prep's athletic department. It was just always such to be able to know that, you know, we were sending Chris and your boys and your girls and all those in your class just out there, and what you represented as just a good person, Chris, was exceptional. So thank you, dude. I'll get off the mic, but love you, bro. Good job. Very proud of you.
Thanks, bro.
Chris, you have time for 2 more. If you don't get a chance to answer, you're welcome to write into the chat field. Okay, it's all yours.
Cool. You've been such a good friend the whole time I've known you, and you mentioned it yourself, but like it really feels like everything that I love to do, like you're always there. Like if it's like surfing, track, going on adventures, watching anime, playing video games, like every single thing I love to do, you're always there doing it with me, and it makes me so happy, and you're so much fun to be around. I'm so lucky to have you. Thanks, Quinn.
Any more? Do I take one more?
Yeah, is there Jesse?
I'll just say what I just said in the chat. That I mean, I've obviously seen your presentation, and I knew it was wonderful, and I really enjoyed having you as a student. But like, honestly, everything that you said that you admire about your mother, we could say about you. You have totally embodied all of those wonderful values that she's instilled in you, and it really shows that you've had like a wonderful upbringing from your mother and your babysitter and your coaches and everyone, and you're just such a well-rounded, wonderful human being.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, Chris, that was a brilliant presentation. You did such a very good job of articulating your growth and your development. It has been our gift to have you as part of our Grauer family these past 5 years, and we wish you all of the best next year and always, and thank you for all of your leadership on campus. So congratulations, you are graduating with distinction in athletics and expeditionary education. Good job. Woo! Yeah. Good job. Yes, Chris. So if you would like, if you still would, I'll leave the chat room open for just a little bit. So if you would like to write a comment for Chris, you can, and then I will email those to him. If not, we will kind of close down this room, this Zoom room in about 5 minutes. And then we will be back up at 4 o'clock in this room with Kai. So thank you all for coming and hope to see you back for Kai soon.
Well done, Chris.